All right, Rangers, today's news is absolutely packed, and you don't want to miss a single detail. We've got everything from transfer battles heating up over Vaclav Cerny to Johnny Evans being tipped for a shock move to Rangers. But wait, there's more. A serious worry brewing over Hamzai, a defensive crisis that's got Birmingham buzzing about Ben Davies, and a potential Malaysian sensation who could be heading to Glasgow. Trust me, this isn't just another day in the life of Rangers news. Vaclav Cerny's been quite the standout for Rangers this season, hasn't he? The Czech wingers come in on loan from Wolfsburg and made himself at home, bagging 10 goals and 7 assists so far. That's the sort of impact we love to see at Rangers, proper graft and quality on show. But here's the snag. There's no option for us to make the move permanent. That's got us in a bit of a sticky situation now, hasn't it? With the lad catching the eye of Villarreal, you can see why they're sniffing around. La Liga high flyers fancying a piece of our boy. No shock there. But Cerny's keeping his head down and focusing on life here in Glasgow. He's even said he's loving it, calling Rangers a giant of a club. Spot on there, mate. Still, this tug-of-war lark could heat up by the summer. Wolfsburg will have their say, Villarreal will be waving their checkbooks, and we're left hoping he doesn't slip through our fingers like that last pint at the Loudon on match day. He's talking big numbers too. 20 goals, 20 assists. If he pulls that off, there'll be clubs lining up like it's the chippy on a Friday night. But here's the real question for you lot. If we can't secure Cerny permanently, should the club have planned better for deals like this, or are we always going to be the stepping stone for players to bigger leagues? Let's have it. Well, here we go again. Another debate about what's best for Rangers, and this time it's Johnny. For Evans being linked with a move to Glasgow, a veteran defender, multi-title winner, and let's be honest, a proper experienced head. Keith Jackson reckons it's a no-brainer, saying Evans could bring some much-needed leadership to a side that's been crying out for it all season. Fair shout, isn't it? Rangers have lacked a bit of that grit and savvy at the back. But then you've got Philippe Clement, reportedly not too keen, likely due to Evans' age. The man's 36, after all. It's a tough one. Do you take a chance on an older player who might steady the ship? Or do you look for someone younger who could grow with the team? You can't ignore his pedigree. Evans has played at the highest level for years and even managed a shock return to Manchester United. The bloke's clearly still got something in the tank, hasn't he? That said, with January being a notoriously tricky window and finances tight, is this a move we can afford to get wrong? Let's not forget, any money spent here could limit what Clement's got to play with in the summer. If we're rebuilding properly, it's got to be smart, not desperate. So here's one for you. Is signing Johnny Evans a shrewd move to fix our defensive woes, or is this just another case of Rangers settling for a short-term solution instead of thinking about the long game? Have your say. Hamzai has been an absolute lifesaver for Rangers this season, hasn't he? When you think about how patchy the campaign's been, you'd shudder to imagine where we'd be without him. But now there's talk that his very serious situation could see him moving on in January, and let's not sugarcoat it, losing him would be catastrophic. He's not just been the best player at Rangers, he's practically carried the team at times, hasn't he? The goals, the work rate, the spark he brings. It's no wonder clubs are circling like seagulls round a pie at a match. And let's be honest, given how Rangers have been struggling, you could hardly blame the lad for wanting to take a step up. If an opportunity lands on his plate, it's gutting, but it's also the harsh reality of modern football. Here's the rub, though. Rangers cannot afford to lose him. Not just because of his quality, but because there's no one else in the squad even close to filling his boots. Our defense has had its moments, the attack's been hit and miss, and Igamane's been the glue holding the whole operation together. If he goes, what's left? Not much, really, apart from hoping Philippe Clement can work some miracle signings in January, which, let's face it, feels like wishful thinking. So here's the spicy question to get the comments flying. If Igaman decides to leave, who's more to blame? The board for failing to build a stronger squad around him, or the manager for not getting the best out of the team overall? Let's hear it. Ben Davies, once deemed surplus to requirements at Rangers, now thriving at Birmingham and leaving a few of us scratching our heads. The lad's gone from a squad afterthought to a proper standout in League One, clocking up 15 appearances and even convincing Birmingham fans we might have missed a trick. Meanwhile, back at Rangers, we're facing a defensive crisis, patching things together with whatever's left of our backline. The irony's thicker than a pint of Tennent's, isn't it? Birmingham, of course, are over the moon with Davies and are reportedly keen to make the move permanent. And why not? The bloke's versatile, covering at left back as well, and seems to have found his feet down south. For them, he's a long-term option as they aim for promotion to the championship. For us, it's a tale of bad timing and bad luck, losing players like Sutar, Balogun, and Casanwirjo, just as Davies gets a second wind elsewhere. Typical, eh? Philippe Clement's been tight-lipped about recalling Davies, and frankly, you can see why. Even if it's an option, does bringing him back into this mess help anyone? Barry Ferguson reckons we should take the cash and reinvest it, and given the state of things, that might not be the worst shout. But with Clement's ominous comments about the January budget, or lack thereof, it's hard to see where we go from here. So here's a cracker for you. If Davies is thriving at Birmingham but wasn't good enough for Rangers, is it down to our recruitment getting it wrong? Or are we just failing to get the best out of the players we've already got? Let's hear what you think. Looks like Rangers are casting the net far and wide. Again, eh? With Vaclav Cerny's future up in the air, let's be honest, the lad's been class but doesn't look like a permanent deal is on the cards. It seems we're sniffing around Malaysia for a potential replacement. Arif Aiman Hanapi, a right-sided dynamo, has been banging them in for fun. 15 goals and 8 assists in just 23 matches. Fair play to the lad. That kind of form's going to catch anyone's attention, even all the way out in Glasgow. You've got to hand it to the club. They've been finding hidden gems lately. Hamzai Igamani, for example, has turned that £1.7 million fee into a steal with his performances, and let's not forget the new faces from Brazil, Denmark, and beyond. It's a different kind of scouting, but it's showing promise. Maybe Hanapi could be the next success story. Plus, with Persepolis apparently blocked by their foreign player quota, we might have a clear run at him. The big question is whether a talent from Malaysia can handle the intensity of Rangers and Scottish football. Meanwhile, Philippe Clement's been reminding everyone about the gulf in squad depth compared to Celtic. £30 million spent last summer by them. It's a bit easier to rotate when you've got that kind of cash to splash. Still, if we're serious about closing the gap, depth's got to be sorted. Players like Hanapi might just offer value for money while adding the quality we need. But here's one for the faithful. Should Rangers be taking more risks with these left-field signings like Hanapi, or are we putting too much hope in bargain buys while Celtic keep splashing the big cash? Let's have it. If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now.